Hey, it's MK, and I am here with another Mixed Media Mayhem layout, and today's inspiration is by Corinne Gagnon, and I absolutely love all of the little bits and pieces that you see inside her layout. Like, if you start to zoom in and look and see, I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm going to put two pictures on my layout. I have this stamp by Kaisercraft, as well as this amazing stamp by All in Create called Deep Focus. And then from 49 in Market, I do not have the Essentials hickory in that. Instead, I've got some Dusty Attic in there, some 49 in Market film strips, some more Dusty Attic, some assemblage required, and a mix of all different kinds of 49 in Market product, but absolutely no hickory rub-ons whatsoever in that package. From the Ginger Snap Pretty Little Studio collection, I have the Ledger #1 that I plan on backing my photos with. And then from Close to My Heart, I pulled out this sticker sheet. I cannot remember the name of it, but it did come in a boy pack that I thought was pretty cool. It had my favoriteest red plaid ever inside, or maybe more like a red gingham, maybe. I think it was a red plaid, but anyways, but it was amazing. And then I also have from 49 in Market these color splashes or color washes from Countryside. And then I'm going to be using Basil Marshmallow cardstock because I wasn't sure if I was going to get wet messy on this or just use my inks and rub-ons. So I will find out what I'm going to do. But the first thing I needed to do was map my photos. And because this is going to be such a long process with the mixed media, I cut out the cutting of the photos and the photo mats. But I did decide to go with the Polaroid style photo mat, just so that way I could give a good distance away from all the goodness that's going to go on this page. Okay. So I wanted to give my photos a little bit of an opportunity to say, hey, I'm here too. So I decided to go with the Polaroid. So after that, I outlined where my photos were going to go, and I did glue them together so that way I didn't have to guess later as to where my pencil marks are going to disappear to. After that, I really had a hard time getting started, so I did busy work. I fussy cut out the rub-ons. I went through all of my embellishments, picked out my embellishments, and did all that stuff until I got the courage to get started. And the first thing I did was take my favoriteest stamp from Kaisercraft, which is this marble stamp. Oh my gosh, I wish it was still available, but it is not. I'm glad I picked it up when I did because it comes in handy for everything. I love this stamp. Well, stamping along, I almost forgot that this was supposed to be a diagonal layout. So I was going to stamp over here and stamp over there. My first stamp was like, oh, that's cool. It's perfect diagonal. But then it just went nowhere and I had to finish the stamping, right? You have to finish the marbling so it at least looks good. Well, no, I did not need to do all of this. I could have left it as it was because when I start bringing in my deep focus stamps, they got lost. Well, for one, I chose Walnut Stain. So the first one was just a Memento Tuxedo Black. Now I'm doing Walnut Stain, and I forget for the Distress ink, in order to pull that color up and make it a crisp image, you really, really, really have to pounce your images into that ink because the ink is in there, like it's there, but you really do have to rub it and scrub it just like you do on a blender brush with a stamp to get your ink on there. And so for this one here, this really cool image with the circles and the trees and all that, which is really what I wanted, I decided not to do that. So I went with Ground Espresso thinking it was going to be darker than the Walnut Stain. And when I stamped it, again, forgot to pull the ink. And so I get this muted stamp image going on. And at first I was like, nah, it'll be okay. It's mixed media, right? I'm just going to add more stuff to it. But in all honesty, I really wanted that circle with the tree stamped on my page, and it totally gets lost. Absolutely gets lost. I'm only using ink that was on my desk. if I'm being honest. And so the next one up is this yellow, oh my gosh, fossilized amber, I think is what it's called. I don't know. I think that's what it's called. But it was the yellow that was on my desk. It matched beautifully with the countryside yellow color washes in the rub-ons. So I couldn't complain very much. And then I brought back the Memento black ink for my faux stitching stamp that I had going on. And then I'm bringing back, what is that one? Gathered Twigs for my next stamp. So I've got a lot of brown going on here because I knew my embellishments were going to be colorful. I wasn't sure. I was leaning towards the red, but then I realized I didn't have a whole lot of red as far as what was in my embellishment pack that I picked. That was just a menagerie of all different companies, mostly 49 and Market, but I thought it was hilarious that there was absolutely no hickory embellishments whatsoever in that pack. But hey, it was a useful container for what I needed. So I'm going to take my my rub-ons and I'm splitting them up because I don't want anything to get lost behind the photo. I just feel like that's going to be a waste of a rub-on if I just put it behind the photo and then you never ever see it. And I could have used it somewhere else. I could have made it go farther on my page and stretched around to where it needed to be. And so this one here, this yellow here, was a perfect example because I was able to bring a ton of color up into this one corner where I felt like was lacking a lot of corner. But down on the bottom one, where I first used the yellow rub-on, I felt like it had a lot of color to it because I do have a ton of color. It's just mostly browns. But I did really feel like it didn't need as much help as this upper corner did. So I did the same thing with my green, cut it in half, and decided where on earth am I going to put it. At first I was going to put it here, and then I was going to put it there, and then I realized, oh, underneath this photo is perfect. I still have no clue where anything's going to go. I'm just building a background, trying to incorporate all different kinds of goodness, just like Corrine did in her layout. So I really do want to represent, and I love this layout or this rub-on here that has the little leaf sticking out. And again, I did not want my little leaf or I didn't want to waste my rub-on behind a photo. So I went ahead and I trimmed it out and cut it down so that way I could put another green element somewhere else. And right underneath this photo was perfect. It was just the perfect smash of green to where it makes it look like that first green rub-on actually went underneath my photo and down a little bit, and it was just absolutely perfect. I thought I was going to add a third green one. Oh, I do add it. Ha! I didn't think I did. But I did definitely want some more green on this layout, and I love this color combination, you guys. It is sunshine and rainbows right here for me. And then, of course, I'm going to add some micro spray in Frayed, I think is all that it's called. I love his names of the stuff that he calls his product. It's just so fun. I love the ingenuity of everybody's when they give their product names. It's just so much fun. It really is. So the mica spray did not dry as fast as I wanted it to on top of the rub-ons. So I just took my messy rag and wiped it up a little bit. I didn't rub it off. I just dabbed it to where it would dry a little bit faster. And then I cut my film strip that I had previously painted for another layout from Dusty Attic in half so I could use it in two different spots. And then for these clear stickers, the shiny clear stickers, I went ahead and trimmed them all out this time instead of trim, place, because I wasn't really sure where I wanted them to go just yet. And then while I was trimming them is where I made my decisions of what I wanted to go where. And the best part is the butterflies don't really stick out that much in amongst all of the other goodness all over this layout. So I just thought it was a great addition to the collage background that I created. And then I had 3 of those little leaves left, a couple labels from the no waste packaging from Not Just for Boys, and I went ahead and stuffed those in there, just really liking the fact that I can use up the little leftovers that I had left over from this project and this embellishment pack and that one. From the Dusty Attic string of hearts, chipboard pieces, I'm going to go ahead and use my white gel pen to color in the hearts. And I was going for a messy heart look. Like, I really did not want it to look like I fully colored these and they were crisp and clean white hearts. In the end, it actually looks like I used cheesecloth, or they have that look of cheesecloth or gauze on top of them. And so I really am happy with how that looks, because I did not want a solid white hearts. I definitely did not. So cleaning off my pen, because if you scribble a little bit too hard, it starts to build up around the ball part of your pen, and so it doesn't allow the ball to actually roll, because it's basically pigment that dries. And so I just had to rub it off, and my finger was the closest thing. All right, I'm going to take these tickets that were left over from, I don't know which embellishment pack from Some Assemblage Required, but they are 49 and Market tickets in, I believe this is Fern. Sage and Fern were really, really close, but Fern was on the brighter side. And I think that that's what this one was. And I'm just going to crumple them up, and then very lightly, whatever ink is on my blending tool, I'm just inking the edges so that way they're not so crisp and clean, basically. I debated about inking the strings of my Dusty Attic hearts, and then I decided, nope, I like them natural. I like the way that they look, because they almost represent my favorite is twine. They're almost that same color, so I'm fine with how they look and what color they are. Plus, I've got a lot of other browns already represented on my layout, so it was absolutely perfect. I wasn't sure if I was going to need the third batch of tickets, but I decided to go ahead and do them. That way I don't have to do them later, and I can clean up my desk, and I don't need this blotch of ink on my glass mat. Now, the only downfall to a glass mat is when you are ink blending like this. Tim Holtz Distress Inks and Oxides never, ever, ever, ever dry on a glass surface or a silicone surface. You can always rehydrate them. You can always rub your finger on them and get some sort of residue. And so if I don't clean that up, it's as I swipe my layout around on my layout, that ink transfers to the back of my layout. It doesn't bother me at all, but if it transferred onto something that I wanted white, like a fingerprint or something like that, that's the only time that it really gets to me. But other than that, so I tend to do projects like this all at once. That way I can clean up my mat when I am working with crisp white things. So that way I don't have to worry about that transfer later. With this layout, I wasn't too worried about it at all, actually, because it was super fun to come up with this super cool, just fabulous layout to play with. I'm pulling in the Close to My Heart stickers now, and I definitely picked out some that I wanted to use, like that mountain range, because behind my family in the photo, if I would have taken a taller photo, you would have been able to see the mountain behind them. I love the Getting Lost with You sticker. Even though we weren't lost, it still looks good and is just absolutely perfect. It's so much fun to go on these little hikes with the family and just enjoy this part of it. So anyways, I've got a couple drifting butterflies that were left over from gosh knows where, so I really want to tuck them in and get them used up. In all honesty, this little embellishment pack that I had thrown together are leftovers from a ton of projects that I have done all throughout last year, and then possibly in January and February as well. I have no idea. I just know that it's a menagerie of manufacturers, of companies, of projects, and they're just leftovers. They're just the unused bits that never made it on a page. And when I do layouts like this that are just a fun layout to do, that's when I get to use all these little elements, because they still work really well together, But in all honesty, it's not as cohesive as I want it to be, but when it all comes down to it and comes together, it's very cohesive. It's very, they all just blended together, even though it really didn't look like they were going to. I'm just as surprised as you guys are. So anyways, this little sticker that says, keeping it handsome and then limited edition, I wanted the limited edition part, and I was going to do keeping it real. Because I just think that's hilarious, with Papa standing there. Sorry. He's just a fun guy to hang out with, and always keeps us on our toes. And I have the word real spelled out right there on my sticker sheet in the tiny word stickers, which I actually disassembled words that were on because they were pre-made words and I needed different words. And so I cut them out of the pre-made words and I made my word real. I've got it all set up, ready to go. I'm working on how to get the keeping it fixed because I wanted it to arc around the mountains and then the real down at the bottom in the trees. So that was my main plan. Well, it did not work. I move it, I twist it, I turn it, I get so concentrated on making keep it work that I totally forget the real part. So the real doesn't actually make it on the layout, which I'm fine with. It just says keeping it, which kind of makes you go, why does it say keeping it? Well, because it's missing a word. And that's how it rolls in my house, right? I get so stuck on one little thing that I forget about everything else that I was going to do. And so I finally get keeping it to work. I really love it. Real would have looked awesome underneath it, but yeah, nope, moving on. I totally forget. I was going to put this little tab down and then I realized, no, it's kind of dark and I think it'll be just like a blob stuck on my layout. So no, I don't think I'm going to make that work. And I'm happy with all of my elements to the point where I think I can start gluing now. And I did not take this part out because I've been taking it out of some of my videos. And I realized that sometimes this is the part where people want to see it. Like, how do you glue that down? How do you get that to stick to all of that, to where you've got it? How do you keep it to where, you remember where it all goes? What are the next steps after you've placed everything already down on your layout? And so sometimes for me, I take a picture. Other times for me, I just lift things up and glue right underneath and hope that that's enough glue for it to stay. Yep, that's what I do. And then other times what I do is I try to put my adhesive on my photo in a place where I can get the elements to stick underneath that. And then all I have to do is glue a little bit down on the outside that's sticking outside of underneath the photo mat, if that makes any sense. So I really wanted to leave this part in for those that do have those questions and want to see it all come together, other than the fact that I took out cutting down my photos because I knew this layout was going to be uber super long. Sometimes I do want things to pop up depending on how flat I feel the layout is. I do like a little bit of dimension on my layout. Let's face it, I like a lot of dimension on my layouts. But yes, I do make that decision as I'm putting things down. Do I have dimension, or is the dimension one of those optical illusions where it looks like it has a ton of dimension, so I don't need to add any? So that's one of the things. And this layout definitely looks like it has a lot of dimension, but I did add a few here and there, like my butterfly. For some reason, it's a natural thing where I want to just pop up all my butterflies on foam because they're floating off the page, right? That's just a thing. All right, so that is my super uber long video. I love how this turned out. I love the collagey background with the stamps and the rub-ons and the mica mist. I absolutely love making backgrounds like this and then seeing it all come to life with everything else on this page. I love using up all of my elements, and I just love layouts like this where I get to feel accomplished that I used this up and I finished that off and I got it done. So thank you, Kareen, for allowing us to use your layout as inspiration for our layouts. I really do appreciate it, and I had fun using my supplies and making this messy layout. It was a blast. I really did enjoy this process a lot. Don't forget about the link down below for Mixed Media Mayhem. It is I've got a couple links, sorry. I've got a playlist link now instead of the list of people playing, which I think is super cool because now we've got a gathering of all of our layouts all in one spot. You don't have to keep remembering which video was what. Now they're all in one spot, and I love that. Also, too, we've got a link to the Facebook group, so if you're not hanging out with us over there, go check it out if you wanna. And then, of course, the last link is always to the album, so you guys can go and see what my favorite thing about the album is opening it up and seeing all the variations of the one layout. It is my favorite thing just to see the uniqueness. Okay, here's the inspiration, and now I've got 12 or 20 different layouts in that album, and look at how different they all are. Look at the subject matter that changed the color scheme, that did this, that did that. It is so super cool and so fun. All right, you guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. As always, I truly appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out what I'm gonna do today, because who knows? I don't. Anyways, thank you so much, and I will check y'all later. Bye.